Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, it's time to go through my EFL League One predictions ahead of the 25-26 campaign. I'm hoping that this is going to be a very good year. There might be some very mixed opinions. We got a lot in the home kit rankings, but I hope this one's a bit more taken well. I think that's the word I'm looking for here. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Okay, everyone, so first team on the list, doing it in alphabetical order. We start with newly promoted AFC Wimbledon, won the League Two playoffs, beating Brummie side Walsall. I think Wimbledon, the team, is good. We can all admit that. There's been some big losses like Owen Goodman. He's obviously been recalled. Well, not recalled, but his loan's expired. Players like Piggott, I think overall with Wimbledon, it's difficult. I think that you've got a very, very League Two rated team. There's no one in that team that really screams like they're going to do well in League One. You know, I think when you look at manager Johnny Jackson, I think he's not the most experienced. I mean, obviously, a brief stint at Charlton as caretaker and a little stint in the 21-22 campaign before getting the job at Wimbledon. He's been there since the summer of 2022. Realistically, you look at that and you think he's been at Wimbledon a long time and it's taken a while to get them back in. Well, get them to League One. I don't think he's a bad man. I think he will do his best. But then when you look at their sort of transfer window, I have to say that it's just free agents. There's no one really paid for money, really. I mean, Steve Seddon's not a bad shout. He's got experience from his time at Birmingham. He's come from Motherwell on a free. Alistair Smith from Lincoln, that's not a bad shout. He was alright at Lincoln last year. Nathan Bishop from Sunderland's a really good piece of business. They've got him on a permanent. That could work out quite well, if I'm being completely honest. But then the departures really outweigh the arrival. I mean, James Tilley, I think he was imperative to their season last year. He joins Wycombe on a free transfer. Josh Newfield joins Bradford. And then, obviously, James Ball goes to Swindon. I mean, you look at that and you think, I don't think the business has been good enough. They've not replaced the key players. So, overall, the first team on the list is going rock bottom. Sorry to any Wimbledon fans, but I'm putting Wimbledon in rock bottom at 24th. I don't think, for 1 minute, they've got what it takes to survive in this league. I think they'll be relegated early. They'll have a dreadful season. I'm very sorry, Wimbledon. Okay, everyone, up next, it is Yorkshire side, Barnsley. You look at Barnsley, you think they've had quite a rough few years, Barnsley. It's hard to this one. I struggle a bit with this one, to be honest. I think last few years, they've struggled, they've got the playoffs, they've struggled for it. Last season wasn't really one to rant about. Obviously, they sadly finished in 12th. You look at that and you think they underachieved. I know, obviously, Conor Horan became a sort of player manager and now he's permanent manager going into this 25-26 campaign. I don't think they've had a dreadful summer window, to be honest. But then when I look at sort of Conor Horan, though, in a bit more detail, he's not the most experienced manager. This is his first managerial job. Had a very good playing career, I will give him that. But overall, it has to be said that I think Barnsley are in for not relegation, but a very underwhelming season. Because I think just when you look at sort of their transfer window in detail, I think the outgoings are very poor. McCarthy's a decent loss. I think Stephen Humphrey is a huge loss. Why they did not exercise the option to extend his deal is beyond me, because he was one of the better players there last season, realistically, what was quite an underachieved season. He joins Bradford on a free. Josh Benson goes to Rotherham on a free. Max Watter goes to Dundee on a loan deal. And even Corey O'Keefe, he goes to Stockport alone. You look at this and you think that a lot of the mainstream talent has been sold or released. And then you look at sort of the ingoings. Now, David McGoldrick, I spoke to Morgan about this. I thought McGoldrick's a good sign, but like he pointed out, McGoldrick's 37. He's been okay for Notts County in League Two for a few years, but that's the line. I don't think he'll do too much more. Patrick Kelly from West Ham as a CDM, that's not a bad deal. I mean, the biggest piece of business I think Barnsley have made is probably getting in Murphy Cooper, who really impressed at Stevenage last season on loan. They got him on a season on loan. He might be the new number one. I do think that would be an interesting story. Overall, with all this in mind, not a great transfer window, not a great manager. I'm going to put Barnsley in 15th. That might seem harsh and a very unrealistic, but my gut instinct is that Barnsley are going to struggle this season, and it's going to be one to forget about. I think it's going to be a bit like Wigan last season, that sort of disappointment. So yeah, sorry Barnsley fans in advance, but you go in bang mid-table in 15th. Okay, next it is for Tangerines, aka Blackpool FC. If I'm being completely honest, I think Blackpool should have got a playoff place last season. I think they had a really good campaign. Steve Bruce coming in was a great appointment. The experience he's had, we look at him in the Prem, even at Wigan, at Hull, at Newcastle. He's got a fantastic CV, and I think realistically Blackpool next season, I think, will be aiming for the playoffs. And I don't think at all that it's an unrealistic take, because I look at their window. Jordan Brown from Leyton Orient is a fantastic move for 460k defensive midfielder. George Honeyman from Millwall, that's a fantastic piece of business. On a free transfer, he has just reached 30, but he was very good for Sunderland. He played brilliantly for Millwall, so highly rated. To get him on a free is a cracking piece of business. He probably is too good for League One. I reckon he'll take up next season. His stats will be for the roof. You've got Franco Ravazzoli, he's a good backup. Fraser Horsfall from Stockport, that's a fantastic transfer as well. The experience, the strength, the quality you're getting there. I mean, even now, it's on a permanent from Stoke. And then the final one is Bailey Peacock Farrell, new first choice goalkeeper to replace Dan Grimshaw, Harry Tyra. This is a good move. On a loan deal, it's not a permanent, but I think Peacock Farrell will be one of the big ones next season. When I look at the departures, I must say that Rob Apter is a massive loss for 2.3 million. They've got a good deal for him. I will say he's valued at 700k, so you can't really go wrong with the business. But realistically, a massive player loss there. But apart from that, they've not really lost too much. They've lost a lot of their sort of reserve players. I think the squad depth's still good enough. Overall, I would not worry too much. I think Blackpool are going to have a cracking season. I'm putting Blackpool in 5th place. That might come as a surprise. I fully back Blackpool to have an extraordinary campaign. I think they'll surprise us. I think they will even succeed in the playoffs if they can get there. So there you go, Blackpool. Okay, up next it is Wigan's fierce rivals. It is Bolton Wanderers. And I have to say that I think Bolton are going to be in for a very, very big season. I mean, you just got to take one look at their transfer window and you've got to be impressed. Obviously, they have had their struggles in recent years with the whole Never era. Initially, he looked like the man to do the job, but then obviously it didn't work out that way, with a playoff semi-final defeat, heartbreak, and then a playoff final defeat with even more heartbreak. He was sat in, obviously the halfway point. They bring in Steven Schumacher, who's a fantastic appointment though. I mean, regardless of what the finish was last season, obviously they finished in 8th, very under par. But Schumacher's superb campaign at Plymouth can't be forgotten. And I think realistically, he will be the man to get Bolton back into the big time. I mean, their transfer window, the main signings, Ethan Errahan from Lincoln, they beat us and they beat Wigan to him. For 860k is a very good fee. They've not paid much more in his value. Thierry Gale from Rapid Vienna to sign. I mean to go into the foreign market is not something you see too often in League One or the EFL, to be honest. So fair play for that. A good deal for a player that obviously is already very ahead of his game in Austria. Sam Dalby's a big one, and he comes in to replace Aaron Collins, and that is the first of a few big departures, such as Ricardo Santos, Geffen Jones. I mean, George Thomas as well to Wrexham. That's a massive one. But realistically, I look at Bolton. I feel like this will be the year that they really are unstoppable, and it really hurts me to say this. I mean, please forgive me, Wigan fans, but I'm going to put Bolton in 1st place. This was difficult. I'm not taking it lightly, but realistically, my gut instinct is that Bolton will be pretty unstoppable next season. I don't think many teams are going to stand a chance. I reckon they will probably walk away with the league. So there you go, Bolton fans. Are you happy now? Okay, up next, we do have another newcomer. It is Bradford City. I think Graham Alexander's done a fantastic job getting them back into League One. It wasn't an easy job by any means. A manager who's had quite he's had quite a reputation of, he's not stuck at many clubs for long, but I think Bradford might be one he sticks out for a while. I look at Bradford's summer, and I have to say that I think their business has been very impressive. I think Stephen Humphreys, particularly on a free transfer from Barnsley, a player there who probably is a bit, I wouldn't say too good, because this is definitely his division, but probably doesn't fit the status of being at a new Premier Club. But realistically, he should bag lots of goals for Bradford. I think Josh Newfield, while they've stolen him from Wimbledon on the free, that's a massive pick-up. And then players like Curtis Tilt and Max Power, ex-Wigan, just got to mention it. But those two offer fantastic experience, particularly Power, who obviously was in Saudi Arabia, then he was in Denmark, and then he's been at other clubs such as Sunderland and Tranmere. The EFL experience he offers is superb. He is their new captain. Realistically, some decent arrivals. I would say though that it's obviously it's more experience than quality we've got here. I think when you look at sort of their departures, I wouldn't say they've lost anyone of a massive quality. I think Sam Stubbs is probably the only one I would argue is a massive loss. But apart from that, I think they've done all right. However, though, I still think though that, like I say, they lack the quality. I do think they'll survive, but not comfortably. I'm going to put Bradford to finish in 19th. I think they will be on the ropes of relegation. I reckon they'll have a better second half of the season than the first half. I think the first half will be a lot poorer. But I think Alexander can stay there for the full campaign. So I will give Bradford a 19th place finish. I think they'll just survive. Okay, everyone, up next it is Burton Albion celebrating their anniversary of summer. Well, this season, new badge and a lovely kit, which I mentioned. I think with them, with Gary Bowyer, you've got a wonderfully experienced manager, most notably his time at Blackburn and Blackpool. Most recently, obviously, he didn't work out at Dundee or Salford, but realistically, he did keep them up last season, only just. I think the club's transfer window has been a bit. They did sign Fabio Tavares on a permanent, but that is on a free. They could do better there. Toby Simic obviously signed from Wigan. Honestly, from a perspective, Burton fans, I don't think you're getting a great player. But don't get wrong, he wasn't really given a great chance at Wigan. He could surprise, to be honest. Jake Beasley from Blackpool, I would say, is a decent sign, to be fair. But like I said, a lot of loan signs, a lot of free agents. I think realistically, they're building a team here that might just survive again. However, though, when you look at the departures, a lot of big players gone. Bowden's gone. He would have been good to keep around the experience. You've got Elliot Watt's gone. Crocom's gone. Crocom's a massive departure. Mason Bennett as well. I mean, honestly, like I say, the departures they outweigh the arrivals. I think Burton, this will be the year they go down. I'm going to put Burton Albion to finish in 22nd. I'm very sorry to any fans, but I just don't think. I think it's been coming for many years. This year will be the year, I think. Okay, up next it is the Bluebirds. It's Cardiff City, recently relegated. They finished rock bottom in the Championship. It's always difficult to come down from the Championship, I will say. Particularly rock bottom, that's when it gets bad. They've appointed Barry Murphy, not really known in the football world. Spent time at Man City's youth systems and also a little bit of time at Rochdale. I think this will be a very mid-season for them. I don't think they're going to go up straight away. I think they need a season to purely rebuild and get used to Barry Murphy's sort of new playing style. He's going to implement their transfer window. They have not signed, to this day, they have not signed a player yet. They've done nothing. But the departures are very strong. They've got rid of Aaron Ramsey. I would have liked to see him stay personally. Obviously, Gortas goes. That's not a surprise. O'Dwyer goes to Ferencváros and Kungri. Roko Simic goes. And what Al-Ghazi. The list massive. All their big talent has gone. Realistically, there's a few players they could have been better to keep, like Andy Rinomota and Joe Rolls. They would have been good players to keep around. If I'm being completely honest, I do think. But yeah, it's not going to be a good season. It won't be a dreadful season, but it won't be a good season. I've got Cardiff in at 10th place. I'm very sorry to any Cardiff fans, but realistically, I think you look at this transfer window and you look at the current situation, I think it's very unrealistic to jump on the bandwagon of top 2 or playoffs. So yeah, Cardiff City, 10th place. Okay, up next, it is Doncaster Rovers. Grant McCann is a good manager. He's proved it at Peterborough. It wasn't great at Hull, but I will admit that Doncaster is certainly his heart's desired team. This is the team he belongs at. I really think despite winning League Two, I think the squad massively lacks the quality. I think when you look at the transfer window, Robbie Gotts is a great signing from Barrow, but is he League One level? I'm not sure. I mean, the best sign they've made is definitely Matty Pearson from Huddersfield. That's a really good piece of business. He's experienced, he's strong, he's ruthless. He will do a good job defensively. But then look at the departures. Nothing really actually that bad, to be honest. I think Anderson's an interesting one, and so is Richard Wood. But realistically, there's nothing really too big that's happened going out of the club. So realistically, this is what we're going to see with this current squad, and I don't think it's good enough at all for League One. I've got Doncaster in at 23rd. I think they will be second from bottom. Sorry, Doncaster, but I just don't see it personally. A squad that lacks the quality to compete in League One. I think it'll be a long season. Up next, we're heading down south. We're heading to Exeter City. I think wasn't the greatest year last year. Still would say probably a bit underachieved. Gary Cole didn't do a great job. He was on the ropes a little bit. I think a very similar to ourselves, a very similar season to Wigan. I think I look at sort of the incomings. I think that Joe Whitworth on another loan deal is a really good piece of business. And so is Ethan Brealey, to be fair. But then you look at sort of players released. Ryan Woods to Oldham's a big one. I also think that Keller Watts going to Plymouth is a massive piece of treachery. And then also, of course, the big loss is Dimitri Mitchell, massive player for Exeter. Any fan will tell you that he was one of the fan favourites. He is a big loss. Realistically, I do think Exeter will struggle this season, and I think they're only just going to survive. I think Colwell will be gone by probably, let's say, Christmas at the very least. I'm going to put Exeter City to finish 20th in League One. It'd be a long season, I think, and I think they will only just survive the drop. Okay, up next we have got Yorkshire side, the Terriers. It's Huddersfield Town. If I'm being completely honest, I think the appointment of Lee Grant sparked a bit of controversy. We've got a manager here with little experience, hasn't been retired that long. Obviously, he was coaching at Ipswich alongside Kieran McKenna. But to hire him is very interesting. It's a big, big role. However, I mean, the way that Lee Grant's going to play, we look at his time at Man United. He spent a lot of the time with Solskjaer, a little bit with Mourinho. I think realistically, Lee Grant could actually be massive for Huddersfield. I think he's had that sort of impression of that he's seen Solskjaer in playing that tiki-taka football that Man United like to play with Solskjaer. And then when you look at the transfer window, it's so impressive. Alfie May from Birmingham, that's a fantastic sign. You've got such a proven goal scorer at this level with Charlton and Birmingham last season. That's a fantastic one. Lyndon Gooch from Stoke City was superb at Sunderland. Wasn't great at Stoke, but a chance to get his career back on track with a drop down in division. And then Murray Wallace and Ryan Ledson as well from both Millwall and Preston are great signs. I think Ryan Edson particularly, I would say too good for this level. He was pretty decent for Preston in the Championship. Realistically, I think that'll work out. They've also got Jack Watmore. Jack Watmore on Preston was brilliant for Wigan. Wasn't amazing at Preston, but I think again he'll be massive this season. And then we go down obviously to the sort of departures. I wouldn't say anything too big really. I think Josh Cromer's only the real one that I would be a bit worried about if I was a Huddersfield fan. Went to Leyton Orient a free, but overall they outweigh the rivals. I think genuinely Huddersfield are going to be in a very good title position for me, and that's why I put them just behind Bolton Wanderers in second place. I think they will grab an automatic spot. I think Lee Grant will surprise. He'll do a good job. I do think that come next season, Materials will be a Championship side. Okay, up next it is Leyton Orient. Obviously, heartbreak last season. They lost the playoff final to Charlton. Richie Wellens in Maduro still. He will do a good job, and I think this year they will get not automatics. I definitely think playoffs. When you look at their transfer window, Mitchell, Karoma, Aaron Connolly are great signings. Add into that attacking threat to get more goals in. In terms of departures, Galbraith's a massive one, and so is Jordan Brown. They're two big departures, but realistically, I do think they've had a very good season. Obviously, they've got to replace Charlie Kelman quickly, and that is why they have signed a big striker in Aaron Connolly. So realistically, I think Leyton Orient will be in a good position. I think they will just miss out on the last spot. I think they'll finish third, just behind Huddersfield. But I do think that Wellens, this will be the year that he can get them back up to the Championship. It'd be a massive achievement, and I think hats off. I hope they do, Leyton Orient. Up next, we're heading to Lincolnshire. It is Lincoln City. I think honestly, last season was a bit under par when we look at where they finished. They finished obviously in the 11th, and that wasn't too bad. But considering they just bought playoffs the previous season, it was a bit under par. But realistically, I think Sabala is the right. Well, I say that last season he seemed it, but I think after a very poor season, I think Lincoln might struggle this year. I think it's only going to get worse. I think when you look at the window, Sonny Bradley is a decent signing, and so is Riley Towler. But apart from that, a lot of youth implemented. In terms of departures, Erhan's gone, Kluks has gone, Bradshaw's gone, Powdy O'Connor's gone. Even Tyler Walker's gone. Realistically, that's 6 big losses, and I think they will struggle to replace them all. I think Lincoln are going to finish in 16th, mid-table. I think Skawala will massively disappoint, and I think the fans won't be too happy. So, but yeah, still wish them luck, but it won't be a great season, I'm afraid. Okay, up next is arguably the most interesting team on the list. It is Luton Town. Obviously, back-to-back relegations from both the Premier League and the Championship. No one saw it coming. I do think, though, that Matt Bloomfield will be the man. I think, obviously, him leaving Wycombe still has never sat right with me, but realistically, he proved that he can be up there. He can do a job, I think. I think for the window they've had, they've got in Josh Keeley from Tottenham. That's a really good piece of business. He was brilliant at Leyton Orient. Naki Wells as well, and George Saville and Cal Naismith. They're all really good signings for this level. I do think Luton will make a serious bid for the playoffs. I think in terms of departures, they've made quite a bit of money on Asgard and Kaminsky and Pebble. I really think that Luton will be in the playoffs. I'm going to put them in 6th. I think they'll just secure a playoff place. Will they win it? I'm not too sure. I think they do need a little bit of a rebuild campaign, but still, they're good enough to do it. And yeah, Matt Bloomfield, I think, is the man. So I'm going to put them in a respectable 6th place. Good window, solid manager. Can they get the job done? Okay, up next is Mansfield Town. Did a very good job last season surviving League One. I think the transfer window is decent. I think Clough's done quite a good job. Karen Noyle's a good signing. So is Liam Roberts, the goalkeeper. In terms of departures, nothing too massive really. I mean, Tom Nichols is interesting, and so is Aidan Flynn. But realistically, I think the team, though, deep down, will probably be in for a similar season. And I think the club will be happy with that, really. The fans just want League One football. I don't think they're in a bid yet to push for the title or even the playoffs or even top 10, to be honest. But right now, I'm going to predict a very similar season. And you can almost say parallel. I'm going to back them to finish 17th for the second year running. Like I say, there's nothing too special really about Mansfield. The team is just very average. But then again, though, it's capable of getting those big results when needed. So I think this is a fair play. So yeah, I hope Mansfield have a stable season at the very least. Interesting one up next. It is Northampton Town. If I'm being honest, a team that only just scraped it last season and the season before. I think Joe Wormleighton is a very pointless signing. So is most of them. I mean, Dean Campbell's probably their most notable signing, really. But they're all free agents. I mean, realistically, it's not good enough, really. I think you look at players released. I think Ayoma's a big one loss, and so is Nick Zanev, the experience and the depth. I do think that this will be the year for Northampton go down. I don't think Kevin Nolan's up to the job. He's not experienced enough for my liking. And I think Northampton will finish 21st. I think that realistically, when you look at this squad, it's not good enough by any means. And like I say, relegation's been going down for last season a bit. So, yeah, too much League 2 talent. And I completely think this is a realistic one. So, sorry Northampton fans, but I don't think it's enough to survive you from the inevitable. Okay, up next is Peterborough United. I don't think they've had a great window. I mean, they have signed £1 million player, which is pretty decent for their Declan Frith from FC Fun in Switzerland. In terms of the players released, they've lost a lot of depth. Poku for free is an awful piece of business. Edun's gone, Jay Jones is gone, Tisha Marga's gone, Ajiboy's gone, Emmanuel Fernandez goes. They've lost so many of their big players. And I think they'll probably have a parallel season. Darren Ferguson will be sacked, I think, at some point this season. I'm going to put them at 18th. Realistically, I don't mind Peterborough, but for me, like I say, Darren Ferguson's not the man anymore. He proved last season. They had a very, very off season. And realistically, last season, I expected Peterborough to push for at least top 10, I think. So very underachieving. And I think they will once again underachieve. I'm sorry to any Peterborough fans, posh fans even. Okay, on next is Plymouth and Newcastle Mador with Tom Cleverley. Did well at Watford. Well, it did well at first, but then it went a bit downhill. He's not a bad appointment. I think the transfer window has been very good. They've obviously signed Brendan Murdo, a player that we should have, but yeah, that went wrong. I think Caleb Watts is a massive one. It's a bit controversial, but then I think the one I'm most impressed by is Jamie Patterson, who was really good for Coventry last season, also at Swansea. Very good Championship player. Probably will be one of the big players in League One. In terms of departures, I do think that Ryan Hardy and both Maxim Talerov are massive departures, but realistically, I think they've made up for it with a decent window. But I don't think they will be in the playoffs. I think that they will scrape a top 10 finish at the very least. I'm going to put them in ninth. I think some decent signings, but they will struggle, I think, to replicate what they should be. Well, what's expected, top 6 or top 2. Sorry, Plymouth. KO next is Port Vale, another team that have obviously come straight back up. If I'm being completely honest, I think Port Vale stand a very good chance of surviving comfortably. A good window. I think Karen Humphreys, Jordan Gabriel and Ben Wayne are all really good EFL signs. They've all got experience. They've all got quality. I think they've already got a very promising team and they've made it a lot better with these EFL experience signs. And they've not really... I mean, departures-wise, no one massive really gone. I mean, I think the only one I'd really argue is massive is probably Tom Sang. But realistically, I don't think there'll be any problem with them staying up the season. I think they will survive and they'll surprise the EFL community. I've got Port Vale to finish in a very respectful 14th place. Darren Moore is a quality manager, and like I say, I think they will surprise the EFL community. Fair play, Port Vale, I hope. Okay, up next is Reading with Noel Hunt, a manager who came in halfway through the season. A good finish. They just missed out on playoffs, finishing at 7th last season. They've had an okay window, particularly Liam Fraser and Paddy O'Connor are very good signs. They had experience, they had quality. I think they should do a good job this season. In terms of departures, though, nothing massive really. I mean, I think Mabengwe is a decent loss. But apart from him, I'd argue that they've not done too bad really. However, though, I think there's too many good teams. I mean, the top six is already full of enough teams, I think. I think Reading will just miss out again. I think they just lack a little bit of that quality to go that extra mile. So I'm going to put Reading to finish exactly in 7th again. The third time I've got a team in the same position. But I don't think it's unrealistic. You look at Reading, I think overall, obviously nearly went extinct last season. I think there's a bit of controversy around the club at the moment. There's not really much. Well, but I mean, thankfully they've got a future, but realistically it will be difficult next season. So, yeah, I can't see Reading getting playoffs next campaign. But maybe the season after, we'll see. Okay, next is Rotherham United. Wasn't a bad season last year. Obviously, Steve Evans got sacked. They replaced him with Matt Hamshaw. There's some okay signings like Josh Benson. I think he's a really good one, and so is Keane Spencer and Barrow. But then when I look at sort of departures, Adolphin's a massive loss, and so is, Johnson Clark Harris going to Turkey is massive. I think realistically they will struggle this campaign. I'm going to bat them to finish a very similar position. I'm going to give them 12th. I think Hamshaw's not a bad gaffer by any means, but will they get playoffs? No. Top two, out of the question. So I think 12th is a respectable finish. Hopefully they surprise, but I doubt it with Rotherham. But still, a good luck to the Millers. Okay, next, Stevenage, a good manager in Alex Revel. Still a bit inexperienced, but I think a very good window. But no genuine improvements, really. When we look at that window on paper, I think that, Saxon Early is probably their most impressive signing. Although Jordan Horton does bring championship experience, to be fair, that could work out well. In terms of players released, the big one probably is Louis Apere, very experienced, but might do a good job at Cambridge. Overall, I'm not expecting a big season from Stevenage. I reckon they were 13th last year. I'll put them 14th this season. No massive improvements, but we'll see what happens. But fair play still to Stevenage. I hope they can at least push for top 10. Okay, up next it is Mancunian side, Stockport County. Realistically, they should go up this season. I think they were so close last season, beaten by Leyton Orient in the end. I've got them to finish in 4th place. They were 3rd last season. I think they've had a good window, some good signs made. Such as Joseph Awulu and R2 Haskoden from Cracovia in Poland. In terms of departures, they have. I think Isaac Alofe is a massive one. He joined Charlton for 1 million, but they've got a good fee for him. Apart from him, though, no one else really of massive significance. I think it will be a good season. That's why I got them in 4th place. Fair play, Well, yeah, I think Stockport are more than capable, and fingers crossed, Dave Challenger's the man for the job. Up next, and the final of the penultimate team, it is of course Wigan Athletic. If I'm being completely honest, I think that the summer has surprised me a lot. I didn't expect us to be so frequent with our transfers. 3 perdants, 2 loan deals, nothing that's bad at it at all. We got rid of the right players. Scott Smith going, no one's bothered about him, I don't think, from a Wigan point of view. Also big. Signings wise, Paul Mulligan certainly surprised me a little bit. I was pretty shell shocked by that transfer. I do think that Sadie's a new number 9. That'll be interesting to see if it works or not. I'm hopeful that he can have a big campaign as our new number 9. And then Daryl Costello, a brilliant pre-season. I'm really hopeful that he can blow everyone away this season. Overall, I think Ryan Lowe will surprise us. We've had a good pre-season. We've been able to get used to Ryan Lowe's style of play, his tactical vision, and I think we'll just miss out on playoffs by just a little bit. I reckon we'll finish in 8th place. Last year was one to forget about. This season, hopefully, will be one that's a bit more memorable, some bigger wins, some bigger moments. But yeah, sadly, I think we'll just miss out on playoffs. But still, that's not to say for the following season we won't go up. But yeah, for this campaign, rebuild, make a good name for yourself, and show everyone that we're not to be messed with. 8th place for Wigan. Okay, up next it is, and to finish it off, it is Wycombe Wanderers. Just missed out on going up last season. I think they're not too bad a window. Jamie Mullins is their most notable signing, really, the window. A lot of free agents. I think Qual and Boyd Munce is a really good sign, to be fair. In terms of players released, no one of massive significance. Maybe Sam Vokes to Gillingham. But overall, I do think that they're going to have a difficult season. I think Mike Dodds will struggle to get the best out of his team. I think Wycombe will finish in 11th. They were good last season, but this season, I think the squad is still very raw after last season's playoff heartbreak and failure, and I think they'll struggle directly last season. No more about Matt Bloomfield, but you never know. But 11th place, I've got Wycombe. Okay, everyone, so with that, thank you for watching. I really hope you agree with our predictions. If not, please comment down below. Some very big statements, such as Bolton being first, that's going to cause a bit of outrage, but I think Wigan being 8th is fair enough, really. I will say, though, that the support of my channel from Super recently, videos starting to take off. The home kit rankings did a very good job. We are both pleasantly surprised. So please keep up with everyone. We know you can do it. It really helps the algorithms. It really helps grow the channel. What I will say is, over the next weekend and a bit, we've got some massive content lined up, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, everyone, thanks for watching. Me being Charlie, talking, and behind the camera, it is my very close friend, Curtis. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care until next time.